Good morning, everyone.
Hey, Sean. It's just kind of
Turn to page 1 in the prayer book and we'll begin. All mothers, sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Buddhahood. Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. All sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in the glorious, kind Lama Vajradhara, the embodiment of the body, speech, mind, qualities, and activities of the Buddhas of the 10 directions and the 3 times, source of the 84,000 categories of the teaching, and Lord of the Sanghas. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Idams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Namgen Tadai Nyambe Semchen Tamje Joje De Somje Deshe Yeba Tamje Amgo Son Doi Yonden Chen Tamje Mooi Jurba Joje Big and good, Chijang Ada, Chijang Sawad, you by Jipe, Palden, Lama, Dampa, Namla, Yapsu, Chewo, Yida, Jipo, Ki, Lakso, Namla, Yapsu, Chewo. Sangye Chongde Namla Gyatsu Jewo Dampe Cho Namla gyapsu jeo dampe jero nama gyapsu jeo gando jejon some anzo yeshe jandan dampa nama gyapsu jeo. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Sangye nam lai gyapsu je and chodai chancho sampaye solai deshin gyapsu je jedara muje deshe kye chancho tone je padon chancho sempe la pala deda grimshin ne padai dejen lola pendonde chancho semne jegeshin dejen dene la pala arumba shin de la in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Sangye chodai soje chodanda Chancho bardo dagni gyapsu je dagi chenso nikipe sonanje rola penje sanje lupasho. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness which is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Namka Dai Nyampe Senchen Tamche Dewa Dai Deve Judan Dempai Jurje Adukna Dan Dung Aike Judan Dewa Jurje Dukna Mebe Dewa Dom Dewa Jurje Enyeren Chadai Nidai Deve Tonyom Lalai Nipai Jurje. Refuge of all sentient beings without exception, divine subjugator of terrifying Maras together with their hosts of demons, the one who understands all realities without exception exactly as they are, transcendent conqueror, together with your disciples, please come here to this place. Buddha, Ganden Kuraje Nede Sheksu So Argam Bage Puste Dube Aloke Ganden Nede Shakta Paratitsa Soha. The ground is sprinkled with scented water and strewn with flowers. It is adorned with Meru, the supreme mountain, the 4 continents, and the sun and moon. As a Buddha field I offer it. May all sentient beings attain the happiness of the Buddha fields. Whatever merit I have gathered through prostrations, offerings, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying, for the sake of the enlightenment of all sentient beings, all this I dedicate. And then to page 11. Namo, to the Lama of utterly pure appearance and existence, I offer the fundamental ground of appearance and existence. I supplicate you to thoroughly liberate the 3 realms. Please grant your blessings and overturn the depths of samsara. Sublime Master, wish-fulfilling jewel, crown ornament, the inconceivable, inexpressible mind of the victorious ones, the one endowed with the 5 wisdoms of omniscience, gracious one, the embodiment of love, precious protector of beings, I supplicate you from within the essence of mind. Please grant your blessings from within the innate nature. Please bless me that I may realize the Dharmakaya that is beyond intellect, this primordially unborn, completely pure mind. The transcendent conqueror, the one thus gone, foe destroyer of afflictive emotions, completely perfected Buddha, endowed with logic and virtue, the one gone to bliss, knower of the world, captain, tamer of beings, the unexcelled teacher of gods and men, I respectfully prostrate, completely touching my head to the stainless feet of the unequaled Shakya king. At the time of your birth, leader of 2-legged beings, taking 7 steps on this great earth you proclaim, I am supreme in this world. To you who were wise even then, I prostrate. Possessing a body of complete purity, your sublime form is excellent. An ocean of primordial wisdom, you are like a golden mountain. The one whose renown is evident throughout the 3 worlds, protector of supreme attainment, to you I prostrate. To you who are endowed with the supreme marks, whose face is like an immaculate moon, to you, the one with a complexion like gold, I prostrate. A flawless one such as you among the 3 levels of existence is most exquisite. Unparalleled, omniscient one, to you I prostrate. Supreme among humans, captain of those to be tamed, the one thus gone who severs the all-binding fetters, who with senses pacified is utterly pacified and skilled in peace. To that one, the one who dwelled at Shravasti, I prostrate. Refuge endowed with great compassion, totally omniscient one who indicates the way, ground bases for oceans of merit and qualities, I prostrate to the one thus gone, the pure cause free from attachments, the virtue that liberates from the lower realms, the altogether supreme ultimate truth. To the pacifying Dharma I prostrate. Having been liberated, they also reveal the path to liberation. Thoroughly respectful of the three higher trainings, they are a field of sublime qualities. To the Sangha I also prostrate. And back to page 9. And to page 15. I prostrate to the youthful Manjusri, to those in the worlds of the 10 directions, however many there are, all the lions among humans who appear during the 3 times. To all of them without exception, I pay homage with respectful body, speech, and mind. The force of my aspiration prayer for excellent conduct brings all the victorious ones directly to mind. Bowing down with bodies as numerous as atoms in the realms, I prostrate to all the victorious ones. In a single atom there are Buddhas as numerous as atoms, each residing in the midst of their sons and daughters. Like that, I imagine the whole Dharmatatu completely filled with victorious ones. To those with oceans of inexhaustible, praiseworthy qualities, with sounds containing oceans of tones of melodic speech, I express the qualities of all the victorious ones. I praise all the Sugatas. With the finest flowers, the finest garlands, music, ointments, supreme parasols, supreme lamps, and the finest incense, I make offerings to the victorious ones. With the finest cloths, supreme scents, and fine powders equal to Mount Meru, all displayed in supreme and magnificent ways, I make offerings to those victorious ones. With vast and unsurpassable offerings, I venerate all the victorious ones. Through the power of faith and excellent conduct, I prostrate and offer to the victorious ones. Whatever negative actions I have performed with body, speech, and also mind, overpowered by desire, aggression, and stupidity, I confess each and every one of them. I rejoice in everyone's merit, the victorious ones of the 10 directions, the Bodhisattvas, the Pratyeka Buddhas, those in training, those beyond training, and all beings. I request the protectors, the lamps of the worlds of the 10 directions, who, passing through the stages of awakening, attain Buddhahood beyond attachment, to turn the unsurpassable Dharma wheel. I supplicate with my palms joined together those who intend to demonstrate nirvana, to remain for kalpas as numerous as atoms in the realms, for the welfare and happiness of all beings. I dedicate whatever slight virtue is accumulated through prostrating, offering, confessing, rejoicing, requesting, and supplicating to enlightenment. And to page 14.
Madame J. Ensemble Senge Dunia le roi de Baye Yarwa Kula Rate Chancelo Duje Dena Dunye Sanjena Sanje Sete Unai Jobada Dada Juje Yana Maluba Tamje Jawa Take Gomoramo Deda Ngapa Meze Jansona Nyanje Yamba Janso Dagunji Jawa Kunje Yonde Rajo Jing Dewa Yeba Tamje Dakentu Meto Tampa Kungwa Tampa Tam Sinye Nanda Chupa Tojotan Mame Chotan Dopo Tampaye Jawa De Dadlani Chopaji
Nabza dampa namdan techodan Cheme purme rad nyambadan Kuba cheparam pabe chokunje Jarwa teta tayan chopaje Chopa kana lame jachewa Teta jarwa tamche la yamo Zampo chula tebe dodaki Jarwa gula chanse choparagi Dojai shedan demo wangeni Ludan madan dishin yeche kyang Deba dage chepa chenchepa Deda damche dage sosor sha Chuchu kyawa kundan sanje se Ramkya namda loda meloda Dowa kunye sonam damlaya Deda kunye jesu dayera Gana chojun jeten domada Janjo rinpa sanje machani Gombo deda dage damchela Kolo lana me parkurwa kwe Nyanyen daton raje dedala Adrowa kula penshin deveche Kewa shenge dunye shubayan Dage temo rajara suwaje Chansa wadan chochin shapada Anyeze yeran kushin suwaye Gewa junse dage chisapa Tamje sobe chanju chenbu. And page 16. Please turn the wheel of the Dharma of the two vehicles and their combination according to the dispositions and mental capacities of sentient beings. Samjen Namkye Sambhava Loye Jedai Jetawa Ache Choy Tumo Tekpaye Chokye Kolo Kordu So. Jarbe Javla Gujan, Jimmy was a doje jingrade, Madrikan or Jeda, Tam Jesse Wagon change, Yamandi Golden Jangujan, Homi Church, Yanger Podon, the Sonja Gunjan, some joke, some Donzebe. Savela me javla gujanze, kanda chojara tongkin jidena, dirhelo marajirwa kansada, tende tombe chujen charan beb. Sembrando adam jinde, shena marya laye gidan ludan, jige tumda dami ginamne, duwa gunje dagi je zamba tam jige dagi chuden du. Good morning. Good morning. So now maybe we are reading the sadhana. So maybe a little bit we discuss.
So you mean we'll go through the sadhana and
Yeah, so
discuss as we go? So like actually going through the practice, teaching on the practice. So first we have the second page here. The local gurube. So we can just read in English. So the first part here. Okay, so we can read together. Root and lineage lamas, in whom all blessings are subsumed, Bhagavan, deity of longevity, bestower of the supreme attainment, Dakinis and Dharma protectors who subdue adversity, as I single-pointedly supplicate you with longing, with compassion for me and all embodied beings who pervade space, please establish us in the state of deathlessness.
다티 나서 데려와 다 주비 라마 손에 자베 주비 다 라마 첸합 주비 라마 지 요로와 티니다 디 지랑솔 트와지 요레 다 나서 카레 간디스 주바 카레 요레스 지
Ngatsogi jupa gande yore or gare dilla. So kagyugi jupa. Okay. So so as you can see, this is essentially supplicating the root and lineage lamas, supplicating the deity, the three jewels, Dakinis, Dharma protectors, to receive the blessings. So this is important for any practice, supplication to the lineage. So in this case, this is the Kagyu lineage, the practice lineage of the Kagyu tradition. So he would like to ask you, who can tell us, who about the lineage? Like, what is the succession of the lineage? You raise your hand, and wait for the microphone. Is it you?
You want me to use the other microphone? I got one right here.
So the people on Zoom can hear you.
Hello, people online. So, the lineage started with Jigten Sumgon. That's what the Drikung is. That's why Jigten Sumgon is so important for us. Because
But he from the start.
well, that's why we have that other prayer we say, Dorje Chang, Tilopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, Dharmalorka Popa, Notrikompa, Pagmadrupa, and Notrikumpa. So that's kind of why the Tankas, they have this little 6 lineages, because it really comes from the Buddha. It comes from the original space. I mean, the lineage really is ever present. I mean, that's what, for me, I understand that we all have the Buddha nature. Ultimately, the lineage comes from here, or from that thing that's ineffable. But our lineage, I understand that Jigten Sumgon is the seed. It's like where it starts, the branch. Like you can say there's the root, which is the ineffable million name. There's so many names that people put. And for some people, this is my understanding. It expresses as Christianity, as Judaism. But they're all the same. The root in reality is the same, and then it comes from there to whatever form is good for us. So that's what I think.
Thank you.
But my question was like, why don't we have this Torma just the first time? Like, why did we did yesterday the Torma and not we didn't today? It's just to open the retreat, to clear the obstacles, or why didn't we? Because it's not addressed here in the sadhana.
Right. Well, you mean like this supplementary Torma part? Why is it? Where does it come from? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And why doesn't it state it here? Is that just something that we ordinarily always open the retreats like? If we want to do this at home, like how would we have known that we have to do this first?
Yeah, garitini kaka yore dine de druptap nangla gayang chiyo marwa.
Aina da di ngaso nyamlen chi ne kaula 다 가서 참으로 되기 어려워. 참디비 qabla nguro dorma 세야지 동구요래. 제너럴 되네 작성 dorma 세야지 동구요래. 대시 마토베지 사다나 코로나나 디 dorma 요 말레스 디 인테가랑레스 가서 디강나 야 포치토 말와.
Yeah, so generally whenever you do a retreat, then there are, you do a preliminary torma, at least generally there are several tormas, but at the beginning it's always important to do a preliminary torma, and that often takes the form of the 3-part torma, which we've recited here together and done here together during retreats. But so it's not part in the sadhana, so that's why it became like a supplementary handout as just like a separate preliminary torma recitation.
Good morning, Drupan in Virginia. I'm glad you asked this question because I've been taught several different things about one particular part of Jigten Sumgun's lineage, and it is that Achi Choge Droma was the great-grandmother, and then I've heard she was the grandmother. So I would ask you to please clear that up for me. Was she the great-grandmother or the grandmother of Jigten Sumgun? Thank you.
Okay. The great grandmother.
It's great-grandmother, but you know why it might be?
Great grandmother.
Yeah, it's great-grandmother. I was
you.
just going to say, sometimes you know how buke la samsam la. Okay, it's the same. Yeah. Then the
They talk of the great grandmother.
No. She said the juba gidunda la. So he's wondering if anybody else wants to comment on the lineage.
I don't remember. That's what I
Okay.
want to write it down.
Yeah.
Please, if you can please repeat one more time.
Okay, so if you want somebody to tell to us, that's welcome.
All right, Yvonne, you ready? It's in the prayer book. It's okay. Dorji Chang, which is Vajradhara, Tilopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, Dhammalongampopa, Dhammalongampopa,
Gampopa.
Fagnondrupa, and Lord Drinkupa, which is Jigten Sumgun. And some of the guys are up there in the little niches.
Okay.
But just also maybe we should, this particular practice, if you remember, it comes from Rachungpa. Okay, he'll talk about that later.
Should we include the Buddha and Padmam Sabhava?
Okay. I think that's a good question. So this Buddha and the Vajradhara is the same. Te terawa sanga nyamne chiya la kalabuyo resena. Tene the Vajradhara labuyo rwa. Tene ta jetanga so te chiri sanjerewa ina Korani chebayo mares.
So so it's kind of like the difference of the source is like Vajrayana versus Sutrayana in a sense, because the source of all Buddha Dharma is the Buddha, right? But in Vajrayana, in the context of Vajrayana, Vajradhara in the Kagyu tradition is like the primordial Buddha, which is the same really in essence as Buddha Shakyamuni. So it's like they're really one and the same.
That the reason karisena chetanga sta nyamna chibi kala sanje te tuwe kore sta tuwe gudu ko sogji yongo gro tuwe ma tendi ta sanje shakche toba di tuwe kore la gro yina ta sanga tela karsena tene ta karsena di kozum yermewa tinanda ta longjo zobu ko Siritine, Telatine, Tinilatine, Wajadaras, Tobares.
So the reason, the difference is that Buddha Shakyamuni is he's a Nirmanakaya emanation. He appeared in this world as a Nirmanakaya emanation, but his essence is that of the primordial Buddha, Vajradhara. And then the Vajradhara embodies all three kayas. So he's the indivisibility of the three kayas, Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya. But his appearance is that of the Sambhogakaya form with the ornaments and silks and such. But he's the embodiment of the indivisibility of the three kayas.
Can I ask a question online?
Yes, go ahead.
I don't want to take us in another direction, but since you mentioned emanation yesterday with Milarepa, like emanating as the beggar, and you also just mentioned emanation, maybe could you just speak to that a very little bit?
So emanation, the injitsik trupa. So Milarepa penadinda the pango truva truva Milarepa gi truva re sumirawa. Tini tata yang de dorje chang de kusumgi ngo chikpa trugi opa.
Really?
Tini de trupa gi dunda de tesaki korla labna emanation.
I think that's a good question. In a time, the Tandang at Nyom as long as Rawa. Matsu Nyom beke con Cheng de Kaula, Chinga Gundian Kita, Kanzala, Nyom ben Cheng de Kala, not so supon the Garan Rawa, supon the Garan de Tene, con Deli lost Churvala, not so due to Guyomarwa. Karsina Natsu ke as long as Chinga Gundian, Tene Natula Dila, Zimbaji Yorwa, Zimbat Hei Yomarwa. Zimba maye vi jumsan teladen zimba tela yu vi jumsan teladen natso course no rakpa natso subo rakpa no chadi yorwa tene subo rakpa chadi kala natso subo de gara le mato ve natso di kambe chilo lo goje mi na ka chana le pa thong to guyo mare namna la por to guyo mare ka chi to guyo marwa hago son yine yang Tine da pena Milarepa. Milarepa da wo yimbina, tine da Koraki Zimba Hegzaro, Danzi. Take Hegzavi Hula, Tine Korak the Carsedangazota, ordinary Carset physical condition object, Tine Yosamarwa. That two was the Karchiji, Benakatan Huana Yere. Ko rechung bala pe tsewa chenpo rechung bala nyingje chenpo ke dani imbi jumsan tala dene ko yot kesi biwi na rechung korwa kor de goro tatala chuchi to guyo marwa tendi ke tsewa ta nyingje chenpo ke to ne tene ta ko yot medi karsena ta ti yolong ya chi tola ta ko tuwa pangwa ro ji tene tse gore ta che tso ke chenpo shivre ta pena the kind of trusting what the chumba we mean young. But I'm not so knowing that you jiggle Tindi be conscious of the Pango take more. Yina Yanko Tindi get to be your mate down. Tigana Yiki, Rechung deco, obstacle, Tambonicho, obstacle, your is Mandola Yorova, or obstacle not of it. Tindi get to a jail, that you simulate to a jail, Pamamo Yore. Young, Tandata, Lapchilla Hog Drawa, Lapchilla Hog did it. Maybe that ye love it.
Yeah, the leopard, snow leopard, So yeah, right now, like if you think about our experience, we have the afflictive emotions, and as long as we're bound by our delusion, we are also bound to coarse level phenomena. So our body is like a body that we experience as like coarse flesh and blood that we can't change. It's because we think of it as like truly existent and it's reality and it's how it is. And this is because we haven't overcome our grasping. We haven't been able to liberate grasping. And so because of that grasping, and in particular self-grasping, we experience our body as ordinary. It's a coarse, we're a coarse embodiment, and phenomena that we experience as coarse level appearance or phenomena. But when somebody is really advanced in their practice and they have they've overcome the mind of self-grasping, they no longer have fixation in the same way, they have purified their coarse level delusion. Somebody like Milarepa is not bound by ordinary kind of an ordinary experience of form. So for us, we have to go through doors, we can't move through walls, we can't fly through the sky. But someone, a really advanced yogi like Milarepa, he's no longer bound by materiality. He's not bound by the physical. And so there are many stories of Milarepa sending out, manifesting in different forms, performing miraculous feats, flying through the sky and so forth. So in this story, with Rechungpa, because he had great affection and love for Rechungpa, out of his great compassion, he was able to perceive with his clairvoyant mind what was happening, and he understood even beforehand that Rechungpa was going to experience these obstacles. And so he emanated as a beggar, like with his mind, he took on the form of like a beggar. And in order to help Rechungpa avert this obstacle, there were sort of two things going on there. He was helping Rechungpa to avert this obstacle, but he was also kind of testing Rechungpa. Because if it were like us, Drupala said, and we had a big hunk of turquoise, we would probably not give it to a beggar. So very unlikely that we would
More
be able
than
to
$1 million,
give it.
so this.
So it was a pretty high-level test, to see if Rechungpa could hand over, with a mind of compassion, this hunk of turquoise to this beggar. So there was that, and then there was also, it was this method to really avert a pretty strong obstacle for Rechungpa falling into, samsara. So that was why he emanated in the form of this beggar, and so that Rechungpa would offer him the turquoise. And then there are also a lot of other stories of similar instances where Milarepa emanated in a different form.
Tene tanda ka sujili ya malari wa korama yong toguyo mare. Tene mekimbato yandro toguyo mare. Tene 4 gunto lak 4 months. Kain ro toyo marwa. Tene roma to tene da 4 months te kan dis ma shu. Tene koran kilometer ta rechung da tronsa yore ina ta ngato de body sugando go sares. Lana tene yandro ng tene lapchi ya malhe samtel le tene tini ta mela de refa desita thakong rawati malha ngotala tini therawati kare tamarwa kare le porso o tini je tini thagana nyedi yorwa tini konso tadong shena zo ta ngazo di mela refa ta thonsa yore ina yang ta tadong kona ti ta karse kudong kona raksa marda kudong zo de sek sa yo sares sam yorwa yina yang korans yaldu tene temala repe tadikchi yoro nyama zambati syoba chilo tong tene meto ina chaji gu yorwa tene te consola orta koso pe hansa ga yore mala repa thong yo mare tene mala repa yo ngo she tene chi ngo she da ngazo le yo ha ku do la ro 말이 난 것이 요 말때 지랑가 말이 다 가능가 디디 지랑서 내고 것도 뭐 통송 나요. 어다 텐데 에미네 지고 와.
So also there's a story of when Milarepa was meditating in Lapchi, and he only had like very, very few provisions, like a little bit of samba. And there was very heavy snowfall. He was meditating in the cave, and there was very, very heavy snowfall that completely blocked the entrance to the cave for many months. For
road, not lecture.
And the road, for over 4 months, and his students thought surely he's died because they knew he only had a little bit of food, and because of all the snow, they knew that it was impassable, and so they came to find his body, thinking that he had died in the winter, but Milarepa had not died, and he emanated as a snow leopard, and was resting on a rock outside of the cave, where he was able to see his students approaching, and then he prepared tea and like with what little provisions he had, so that they could have a Gana Chakra, and then the students, when they saw the snow leopard, they thought, oh, probably his corpse is not even there because it's been eaten by this snow leopard. And so then when the students arrived, they were amazed and realized that Milarepa was alive, and said, oh, you have clairvoyance? And he said, no. Yeah. Yeah. Because he had prepared tea. He was preparing tea. Yeah. Like knowing that they were coming. And so then they were really amazed because they saw that, like, oh, he's alive. So they were very relieved and overjoyed. And also that he knew that they were coming. So they said, amazing, you saw, with your clairvoyance. And he said, no, I actually saw you. Because
you guys coming.
I saw you coming up the road. I was on the rock over there. So they realized he had emanated as the snow leopard and saw them coming.
So then also we can look at page 6, the prayer book. So maybe okay. So prayer book is page 6. That's okay. So maybe just read. If you're not online, that's okay. You're hearing. So you can read. Maybe you can read, Virginia.
Refuge of all sentient beings without exception, divine subjugator of terrifying Maras, together with their hosts of demons, the one who understands all realities without exception exactly as they are, transcend and conquer, together with your disciples, please come here to this place.
That the suk song bare lamina, neda semo, yarwok semo. That mende samos the song bares.
So these lines are said to come from the daughter of a king in ancient India by the name of Minde Zangmo. So you've actually heard this story if you've taken refuge with Drupan.
Teni ta karsena ta bo jarbo ke ta sanjin khorta je ba den shugin islam te koran ke ta ta lambo che ta ma ta lombo ta to so ki te tadik chi yo ro ba tadik chi yo re ina ya ta mende samo ko tinde go mares tadik nga son deli chi nan digres ina ya ge che go mares sanje koran tuwa yo res emnesho ko ngo hin yo res tamji chembares pheb yong gres labde tine jarbo ya ta tina tine 다 저런 그 서로 톱 간이진 하게 하 먹을라도 돼 뭐랑 그 생데 송배 qabla 보지 빠는 차제진에 다 되네 페브로나 스튜디오 되네 상제케 고노 다 되네 준주 요베케 되네 다 데로 아하 년도 뭐다 그냥 참마다 가서 돼 여러분 되네 휴그도스 되네 다 가르바탄 덴바 되네 단다디 멘데섬 되네 휴그도란테 고서 준주도 어느 남상 페부 열어봐 상지 지부 말았다. 거기 라전바 참마더니 펩토고 열어봐.
So, so there was during the time of tini de matsoki sante rang repe or sante shimba.
당하도 상지인지로.
So during the time of the Buddha, this king wanted to invite the Buddha to come to his palace, and he was making all of these preparations to, outfitting the elephants and so forth, making the necessary arrangements to send an envoy to request the presence of the Buddha. For him to come, he was invited to the kingdom. And his daughter, Minde Zangmo, said, this is unnecessary. You don't need to physically go to, retrieve the Buddha, because the Buddha is an emanation and he is clairvoyant. And so if all we have to do is supplicate, light incense and supplicate the Buddha to come, and he'll come. And so the king said, well, I don't know how to do this. You show me, lead the way. And so she lit incense and held it between her folded palms, in the gesture of prayer, and supplicated the Buddha come. And the Buddha arrived, not just the Buddha, but together with his entire retinue, the arhats and, all of the, noble sangha, arrived, it just appeared, emanated there, before them in the kingdom.
Okay.
Hello.
There's a question online. Why is Amitabha not mentioned in the English part, but is in the following Sanskrit on page 12?
Amitabha?
Yes.
So do I do then change you marawa tata te many chinichirang jupa gi kola la Oh, probably.
Page 12.
Page 12.
Hello.
I don't see Amitabha. But maybe it's page. Maybe there's a different. It might be. It's possible you guys have a different text. It's on page 11. In this text, at the bottom of page 11, dini di Yeah, so this is in the context of the 5 Buddha families. So if you see each of the Buddhas of the 5 Buddha families is mentioned in this supplication, which he'll go into a little bit later, we'll cover that. But that's not like Amitabha set apart from the other. It's just all of the Buddhas of the 5 Buddha families.
Okay. Tati lenejiwa tati ha kogoya ta mamboje ki shegido teni ta ngazo gajubi ki leneji dorjin changdelo naro marba melata general namjunda wimbina ngazo tene marba melarepa gambo pas labgu yorwa ina the particular ta tene ma samachik pares ina yan dini di particular karcha di yoris lavina tene ngazo ta dorjien changchen de lo naro chikpache tene marba tene chine tene rechungba tene melarepa tene gambo pa ta tene ma tene cha
Marpa Milarepa Rechungpa. But de rechungpa jela yang gampopa la sopa
Te
jela.
yorwa, ta te yorwa.
So that's correct, the way you all answered in terms of the forefathers of our Drikunkagi lineage. So it should be mentioned that, you know, there's a certain point where the lineages branch. So there we have different subsets of the Kagyu tradition, right? So common to all Kagyu traditions, we have, as you mentioned, Dorje Chang, Tilopa, Marpa, Milarepa, Gampopa. But here, actually, even prior to Gampopa, there's a change in the lineage of this particular practice because it comes through Rechungpa. So it goes Tilopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, Rechungpa, but then Rechungpa also passed it to Gampopa. So Gampopa is still part of the lineage here. So then Gampopa.
Rechungpa, Milarepa.
Oh, sorry, no, Rechungpa comes before Milarepa, right?
Right, yeah.
Because he didn't receive it from Milarepa, he received it from Machik Drupe Gyalmo, and then passed it to Milarepa, and who passed it to Gampopa. So it's Marpa, Tilopa, Naropa, Marpa, Rechungpa, Milarepa, Gampopa.
Da je ta chana so Milarepa ki dong na lu ju na ha ko gre tin tin ta ka chem she sto tin yore ta Milarepa lo ma thang de ba yor ba yin na yang da thi na chot chur ba tin ni ma da u ki tin Gampopa da wa de re chung ba sta zo ni cha de yores.
So, for those of you who are somewhat familiar with Milarepa's life story, you know that he had many incredible disciples, but among all of his disciples, the two main disciples were Gampopa. He said Gampopa, who was like the sun, and Rechungpa, who was like the moon. So Rechungpa and Gampopa.
Okay. I think that the end that Jatanga so that Mambola to do in that in that Gamboba that so that Gambobala, Lomombo Chunde, Gambobala, that Hambo, Tanga here to talk about Mehil Lagre, Inanga here to talk about Muslim Lagre, Kandaria, that's all Chehoke.
Kashe Ji Kashe Soon.
The teen nane, ta kamba karsena pamotovarawa, oda pamotovare, ta pamotove getene, ta loma de, ta jikten somjungumbo, chadi yore, jikten somjungumbo ne, ta Tiyosari, ta Tikabla, Machi jikte, family lineage labditine, jikta juba. So check the ta Jubaya singing the Galonche, Lamache, ta Tro Segro, Chinzingan Yorwa, Yin and Yang, ta Cobroda Jigla, Tene Jamshi, Yanti Juba Tinde Chijitene, that and the Ringzi Choda Porter, Tini Chombodes, Darmakitiro.
Wait, Gomta Yapo, so dig.
Chitang Yamandawina, the Hakoswan.
Yeah, so Mumma Gadu.
You can zoom on the you can zoom on Koran, take a walk in on Roa. In that you can zoom on Benjala, Tene, Puji or or that in the Chine until Tene, Ringzi Chura what. Chumbares.
So then just to say a little bit more about lineage in general. So there were, then with Gampopa also had many, many disciples, but it is said that, and they're kind of differing kind of accounts of this, but some say there were the four Kang, like Kawado?
East Tibet, Kambaram.
Oh, the four masters from Eastern Tibet. There were the four disciples from Eastern Tibet, the four Kambas. And then some people say it was the three Kambas. So in any case, among these was Pagmodrupa. And so these four, or three kampas also kind of became, that was where some of these Kagyu lineages branched off into different streams. But many of the traditions even then further branched off also with Pagmodrupa. But so the foremost of, in our lineage then, this is why then we say the father of our lineage is Lord Jigten Sumgun. So one of the main disciples, or the main disciple of Pagmodrupa, was Jigten Sumgun. And then from Jigten Sumgun,
Okay.
and then from Jigten Sumgun, Jigten Sumgun became a monastic, so he didn't have a family line, but his brother, the lineage of the Drikung Kagyu was actually propagated through what do we call, there's a name for that, but like a family line for a number of generations. He had one brother, and then this continued up until Rigzin Chudrak. And so that was where then it became primarily where it was no longer maintained through family line, but through reincarnation.
Right, so we here, we call this two holiness, right? So that time is Ringzi Choda and Koncho Rinchen. So they're two brothers. So I think Dharma Kirti, I think, married, but I think no some whatever. They're no longer.
That's Rigzin Chudak Dharma Kirti. So we sometimes say Drikung Dharma Kirti, sometimes Rigzin Chudak, the same person.
Right, so then since then, the two brothers, and then the lineage is reincarnation. So right now is the 37th.
This 37th Drikung Kagyu throne holder, they are these two brothers. So that's why we have two Drikung Kagyu holinesses or lineage holders every generation who are now, Drikung Kyabgan Chetsang Rinpoche and Drikung Kyabgan Chungsang Rinpoche, who is still in Tibet. So they are the reincarnation of these two brothers originally, Rigzin Chudak and Koncho Rinchen, right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That it's very interesting. If we could get some biography maybe to read it, that would be amazing if you can give us afterwards that. And there's two questions I have. I am more familiar with the lineage from Pamasambhava, and I want to understand, because all these names, I know Milarepa was Tibetan. I think Tilopa, Naropa, Marpa were Tibetan too. But I don't know.
They were Indian, actually. Tilopa and Naropa were Indian.
That's where I wanted to understand when did it pass from the Indian to the Tibetan, and how did that relates, to Padmasambhava? Because my understanding was that Padmasambhava was the master that came from India to propagate right in Tibet, and he pacified, the Maras and allowed the king to build the monastery, right? So if you can please explain on that, and maybe in the afternoon, you could help us understand the Dharanis, the translation of the Dharanis, and the mantras that are in Sanskrit, and it will be good to know why we recite them in Sanskrit instead of Tibetan. If you could talk about that in the afternoon. Thank you.
That we have a long story, but Terawa, the most important part, the early translation, the later translation,
So when you think of, I'm going to add a little context here. When you think of how, like, when you think of in terms of scripture, right? Because a large propagation of the Buddha Dharma was through texts, through scriptures, through translations, essentially from India or from Sanskrit into Tibetan. And so this influx of Buddhist material in Tibet happened in kind of two periods. So there's what's referred to as the early translations and the later translations.
다 translation early the karcha yorsena king zonsen gambone chi tene ta pechemrap I don't know, maybe too much. So tene ta pechemrap doing sin sare samgdo marap doing the wajigla khandariya ta jarboti namba cha tene beda pent da zola denden hu tene ya yige tanda the Tibetan languages according to the Sanskrit, so tindi chi tene tachona lava na yire ngorumbo chi denden shu ten kembo rakshita denden shu
No, mare te guru rinpoche de songsen gambo marawa te.
mare matila ila sonsen gambo marap dung la.
Ah, yeah, okay.
O tindi chi chi tene oda ti chi bi kabla ta so chama pe the Buddha Dharma han sang ke da chung tene tson de chen ke tene karsena tawa soya go zo oda tindi chibi kabla ta zo che hyo te pema samba ta nanga zo ningma la gudo ti ju bat cha de yores
So these two periods are like they correspond with also different kingdoms in Tibet. So the very first Dharma king in Tibet, who was really actually responsible for even creating the written Tibetan language based on Sanskrit, was King Songtsen Gampo. And so with King Songtsen Gampo, there was sort of this first wave of bringing Buddhism to Tibet, inviting teachers, creating the language, beginning this effort of translating, the collection of the Buddha's teachings from Sanskrit into Tibetan. And then there was Buddhism sort of faded out for a period, and then there was a revival, like 7 generations later, with King Songtsen Gampo, and that was even a stronger in many ways. Trisong Detsen. He also then revitalized this effort, to establish Buddhism in Tibet, invited great masters and panditas, specifically Guru Rinpoche or Guru Padmasambhava from India and Kimbo Shantarakshita, and there was an effort to have many texts translated into Tibetan. And so this, and as you mentioned, they built Samye at that time. And so this then became like the second wave. And from that point on, everything, but there were still many masters that came later, and later translations and so forth that continued from that point. And so these are kind of like these two really important times in early Buddhism in Tibet. And so this is why often Guru Rinpoche is credited as the one who brought Buddhism from India to Tibet in this like second wave, and why the lineage that comes from Guru Rinpoche is referred to as the old tradition, the old lineage, which is the Nyingma. That's what Nyingma means.
So the early translations?
These are actually the later translations, but they're both early in a sense. So the early translations are connected or happened during the time of King Songtsen Gampo.
Okay, so maybe a little bit clarification. Okay, I can say English if you fix.
Okay, yeah.
So this kind of interesting too. So the Tibetan, so from Songtsen Gampo, this Dharma king, he first brought the Dharma, but he's also the most powerful king in Asia at that time.
He was the most powerful king in Asia at that time.
So then, but they brought the Dharma practice like us, so they're no monks. So all the lay people just practice.
They were all lay people at the time.
So then I think this is fourth generation. The King Chusong Detsen.
The one with the two princesses. The princess who married the princess from China. And the
Four princes actually, 4 directions. Right. I don't know how many children. I really don't know, but from China, from Nepal, from what was this is the Afghanistan.
But Songtsen Gampo, right?
Yeah, Songtsen Gampo.
Yeah,
That's
this is
Songtsen
Songtsen
Gampo, first king.
Gampo, not Trisong Detsen. He's talking about Songtsen Gampo.
So the Chusong Detsen, during the Chusong Detsen time, early age, he's young. So that time he said, okay, the India is this lot of monks, they're monastics.
So
they're
also
holding
just
the
to
study.
Songtsen Gampo is said to have died in 650 AD, just to give you context
That's
too.
pretty good.
Yeah, 650 AD. So that's what, 7th century? Yeah.
And then, so this Chusong Detsen, then he kind of testing whatever. So we needed the monastic. So he did the 7 young whatever children, they become monk.
So he, yeah.
So these 7 is successful. 7.
No, 7.
So they,
7. There were 7 young boys that he.
Make
They became, he sort of gave them the job or the position to become monks, and they began their training early on, and they were successful.
And then after that, then he wanted more monks. You know, so India, you know, there's Nalanda University or whatever. There's hundreds, thousands during Buddha time. You know, mostly Buddha Dharma take care from monk, not lay people. You know. So then he wanted more monks. So then because he's king, he make kind of rule. Okay, someone become monk. So then 7 families take care of the monk, sponsored. So this is not only the sponsored, but this monk is the kind of boss for the 7 family he can control, sort of like. But he's monk.
So also, and then Trisong Detsen died in 797. So I think not 7 generations, not really many generations between, right?
No, I think so, 7.
7.
Not 7 generations. I didn't say
Yeah.
7
Oh, okay.
generations.
Then-
Total, like 3 generations.
3 generations, yeah, that's probably more accurate. Yeah, 797 AD.
So anyway, so these, but this is also this, exactly, there are a lot of conflicts too. So Tibetan is Pong tradition. It's not really, Buddhism is not religion or they are religious. So Buddhism is new. So their inside is good or bad both. So many, the Pong tradition are against to the Buddhism. And then, so then many people become monk. So then all the monks, one monk has sponsored the 7 families. So I said this maybe kind of maybe that time is not good area too much, because usually become monk, right?
Because usually for those who become monks, it's based on a sense of renunciation, you know, wanting to give up a worldly life and enter, you know, a life of monasticism.
Yeah, that tender rules you wake up la.
But then with this rule, it became more about power and leisure and prestige, you know. So
no need work, you know. No need make money. Very males. Tene chinita tidu monk mambo chawre. Yina yang tene sonza gambo tombres.
So there
Sorry, sonza tombres.
were lots of monks, but then around that time, then Trisong Detsen passed away.
Tene korang brother, tene younger brother yarbo chawres.
And then his younger brother took the throne.
Ta ko samno mambo tan yor. Ta khandi chini yaksare take care of the kingdom or take care of the monks. Tene ko conflict hip cha yor wa.
So then he was conflicted, does he focus on taking care of the monks or focus on taking care of the kingdom?
Tene ko zam nota di tambo take care of the kingdom chi gu do something.
So he decided it was more important to focus on the kingdom.
Tene ta taba gogmudo gomba gogmudo la yor wa.
And he thought, we don't need the monks, we don't need the monastery.
So then the decline in the Buddha Dharma.
So Buddha Dharma declined again at that time.
So that's the first part. We can Pema Sambhava part, okay? Down. And after that, like a letter, and then like Marbalota, he himself, he did study Sanskrit, he went to India, he bought the Buddha Dharma. Marbalota.
Marpa Lotsawa, the translator Marpa.
So they our lineage. Now this we our lineage.
Marpa is the first Tibetan after Naropa.
Correct.
Yeah, so
In our
that's
lineage.
good. Okay, that's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, so, okay, Vajradhara Buddha, right? And the Tiloba is Indian. Naroba is Indian. And then this Marba Tibetan, Malariba Tibetan, they're all the Tibetan. So this is a kind of later
Yeah, we'll look
Buddha
at it.
Dharma, spread in Tibet. So right now it's mostly come from this. There are a couple different translators, but mainly is that now, as we said, Gelo is same thing like
And
earlier, or like mostly such earlier, and all the Kaju, many different Kajus. Now it's maybe 10 Kaju difference. Those are all. This is
much
Marba's
later.
lineage.
So and to give you, because we're talking about years too, so Marpa is thought to have lived from 1012 to 1096, so then 11th century.
Okay, so that's his lineage.
Hello?
But also this, I think we have the Drigungkaju lineage is already translated to Kambodja to make the books, right?
Yeah, the Pearl Rosary, I think it's called.
Not Pearl Rosary, this in Kenyan, but other, I think this all
There's a picture book with
the pictures, all the names, all the from Dorje Chang to until today.
So
So all the names, all the pictures. But if we have the tanka, we have all the tankas, but we're not yet in the book. But I think Kimbo certainly they put all the names. Okay.
Okay. Drupanla, when we do the long dedication, please excuse my ignorance, we commemorate or memorize, or I don't know how to say it because I get nervous talking on here, all these lineage masters. Who is Lord Drikungpa? I don't, and does he go by a different name?
All right. So this, what you said, the question is
in the
Lord
dedication, Lord Drikungpa.
Drigungpa. There's a Choba. We call many names.
In Tibetan, it's Choba, right? Is it
Right.
Choba? Yeah.
Choba and Jikten Sumgong.
Choba Jikten Sumgong.
So this, so all the Choba is our lineage. This from, and Jikten Sumgong our lineage. So the English, whatever Lord.
Yeah, we say Lord, that's our Judeo-Christian honorific word. We don't really have others. The word in Tibetan is Kyopa, which is literally protector, actually, protector or refuge.
Because I get them, now that I'm talking on this microphone, I get mixed up because I think it goes,
Pagmo Drupa, Lord
Yeah,
Drikungpa.
Drikungpa.
So
Lord
Pagmo
Drikungpa,
Drupa is before Jikten Sumgön. So Lord Drikungpa is Jikten Sumgön.
so it goes Marpa, Dorje Chang, Tilopa, Marpa, Milarepa,
Tilopa Naropa.
Tulopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, Lord Drikungpa,
Dharma Lord Gampopa.
Dharmalord,
Pangmotraba.
Pagmodrupa.
Pagmadrupa, and Lord Drikungpa.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So there's a wonderful lineage tree that is available. I have a file of it, and I could offer that to anybody who'd like to look more into the history. In this tree also is emphasized a separate source coming through Gambopa, right?
Oh, the Kadampa and
Kadampa.
Sakya. Yeah.
Is it called Sarma?
Well, we're
Or-
Sarma too. So
Right.
Sarma, that's like, so Nyingma and Sarma. So Nyingma is
Yeah.
Nyingma and Sarma includes Kagyu, Sakya, Gelug, because it's new. So
Yeah.
Sarma means the new schools, the new traditions. So it's the later schools.
And my understanding is that even though the principal guru of Marpa was Naropa, he also studied with Maitripa and Varupa. I mean, there's a whole 84
Mahasiddhas.
right, that he traveled amongst and gained teachings from, right? Or some of them anyway, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of teachings basically from these Kadam traditions, Adisha.
Atisha, okay.
Yeah, so Adisha and then the blessing lineage is the Marba.
Marpa, right.
So one thing I was thinking about as we were talking about this is how, because we say, oh, well, this is where they branch off, but actually lineages branch off at every stage because every Lama has so many students and every student has so many, maybe more than one Lama, to your point. And so there's not like this really clear cut, you can't sort of say that it's this isolated stream because there's so many points where it branches off and also there's so much influence that's not just coming from one stream, right?
Okay, so
Okay, I've got two questions. One, was there much change between written Tibetan in the early translations to the later translations?
Say that again, sorry.
Was there much change in written Tibetan from the early
Like Chidar Dangadar.
Right.
to the second to the later translations?
right. So actually, this is not change. So earlier translations or Buddha's he's called Kanjo, right? His speech, Buddha's speech, 84,000 already translated, so earlier. And then the commentaries, like 200 volumes, already translated. So that is just earlier translation, just keep going until now. So this no different. But the Marba and Milarepa, these mostly like secret mantra, higher yoga. So maybe earlier translation, but this mostly, that time is the earlier maybe secret, not teaching it publicly. So that Marba want to like individually who is Hewajar specials, he received there, Chakra Sambara, then he want a special. So then those is the later translations.
So, but what you're saying is, what I understand, I could be wrong, is that the difference between when there are these terms of early translations and later translations, when he talked about in terms of like Songtsen Gampo and Trisong Detsen, this was when the Kongyur and the Tingyur were translated into Tibetan. So that's what that early and later is referring to, Kongyur and Tingyur translations. And those are mostly the same. They're similar. They're different styles, maybe slightly in the translations from the different translators, but the whole Kongyur consists of
Okay, the
these
Kangyur
two
lam ha
sections.
kumar wa Kangyur
Kangyur
Tibet,
means
okay.
all of the Buddha's sutras. So the Kangyur is the collection of the Buddha's sutras, and the Tingyur is the collection of the commentaries. So these are what were divided into early and later translations. But then when you're talking about Marpa and the translations that came even later, this, he was saying, is like a whole different kind of concerning different material altogether, like very secret mantra, not
Higher.
from the Kangyur, but from, like other, sadhanas and so forth. Ribe, yeah.
Right, sadhana. So kind of what you call specialist, right?
No,
So
not
dharma, not
dharmas.
related to dharma at all. So
That's
these like Kangyur, this Buddha's teachings, 84,000 categories, just teaching, these translated whatever word to word. But Marba is, he translated his special teachings he has received because he wants which one is, these days maybe we can say perfection or whatever, he has experience, realization, like Jagasamvara. So then Marba went to their recourse. So this entire, that time is like thousands into Mahasiddha, individually cave, whatever in the mountains. Then he asked the Naroba, what I want this received. But also not lot of from the Naroba, but many is not from Naroba. Then Naroba said, okay, yeah, I can do that, but this one's very special, that person. You go there, and Marba went to there, then they received realization. Like, for example, this is a perfect example with the long life practice, Amityus practice. So then this Tipu said, I know those things, but you have to
Tipupa,
go
if you
Majik Tubejarmu. He's like realization. He is realization, So then Rechungpa went to Tubejarmu, and then Tubejarmu give to Rechungpa. So this kind of like Marba's translation is kind of like really high and also really special. And
It's sort
also
of obscure and Mahasiddha. Like,
he's receiving not only like kind of transformation word by word, but he with realization, the pit instructions.
Okay, my other question is, I'm a little embarrassed to ask, but I missed it. And that is, I assume Jugten Sumguan developed the word Drikung, or what was the exact origin?
why Drikung?
And then,
yeah.
and then what were the connotations of Drikung for him?
Drikung gitse gane lebare.
Digung se khane
Yeah,
la
Drikung se ate gane lebare.
So these are all the, mainly the name come from the area.
So Drikung is a place in
So
Tibet.
sometimes interesting, this is in the Tibet, right? Early famous Lama,
Near central Tibet.
right? So sometimes name, Lama's name, just regular name, whatever. So then he's really popular. So this whole area is from Lama's name. But this another name come from. And then some names, like lineage, right? So this particular Jikten Sumgong, he's coming from the Drigung area. That's area name. So then they call it Drigung Kaju. Like Karmaba, right? Karmaba, I think this something karma, what call this? Area. Then they call it Karmaba. So this is...
Or Dakpo, right? Or, oh no, Dakpo, yeah. Is Dakpo also a place? Dakpo Kagyu?
Yeah, then this general Tapo Kaju. So the Gamboba live in this Tapo lineage, Tapo area. Then this Tapo Kaju. So that's mainly is the name just come from
Places.
places, but sometimes just name just first whatever his name.
Like here, no, Rangnor is a monastery. It's like a monastery in India or somewhere
Yeah, Tibet.
Tibet.
But Jigten Sungwen was from Kham, right?
Yeah, all the
Yeah.
time.
But then, so was it, but the seat of the, actually Pagmo Drupa became Drikung, right? Was it? Or no?
No, Pamo Truba, the Lord Jicans will go Pamo Truba, region, the Wakorang Tambotayori, in that Chorant in Dung Chol and Rolam, ten Dung Chola, do Tini Korakombadia. Jill Lord Jicans will go take care his teacher, Pamo Trubas monastery, he take care, and also he built a new.
In Drikung. He was
Drikung.
sent to Drikung. So that's what became Drikung Til, which is why then it became
And
known as
then
the Drikung
after
Kapi
that, so the
lineage.
Lord Jitens luckily sometimes we really, I don't know, we have life is busy. But yeah, we really study, Gongche, Gongche, his the special teachings from the Lord Jitens Zongong. So then Lord Jitens Zongong was extremely very famous. So the entire Tibet is to become Drikung Kaji.
It was really one of the kind of the most popular lineages at that time in Tibet, probably the most even. Yeah.
So right now it's also all the Himalayas. So like up to, actually in Drikung Kaji up to the Turkey. And then, yes, of course, Pakistan, Afghanistan. So all the regions now is like Indian side, Nepal, Bhutan.
That's why you have a lot of Drikung
And
Kagyu
all the
in
way to the
Bhutan
east.
and Ladakh.
So all
also.
that time is Drikung Kaji.
Yeah.
But then this, many things going on, so we can take a long time telling everything. Okay, so now we keep going. So that thing so om banza saparana kam om sarvam binya bura bura sura sura awadaya hos.
So now we're starting just, like 15 minutes left. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
다 om banza saparana kam dedu. Tanga zu okay jula. Tene yihe yorota yihe di 베지 남가다고 차버효로 트닐라고 요사레스.
So we have this first mantra here. First we have Om Bajra Saparana Kam. And so the meaning of this, more or less, so again, this is Sanskrit, actually. And it's, or, a kind of Tibetan version of the Sanskrit. And so it is more or less, the primordial wisdom or awareness in the mind is like space, or the primordial wisdom of the mind is like space.
다 디슈글라 옴 sarvam binya bura bura sura sura avataya ho seyade다 책리리 지나다 디스칼레 가보 요사데 이미나양 다 돈다 텔라 다 이헤랍 질라르와 드네 이헤 헤랍다 이헤 님보디 드네 다지 increasing 와 양파와 제바 템바 어떤 데니지 가서 이히든 요와 어떤 이제 총구였어레스.
And so then we have this next mantra, which he said would be difficult to like explain word for word. Om Sarva Bidya Pura Pura Sura Sura Avarthaya Ho. And so this is something along the lines of the wisdom deity who is, the essence of wisdom and the wisdom of primordial awareness. And that wisdom of primordial awareness is like increasing, expanding, becoming very stable.
다 디슈글라 다 테레다 저 인치로 다 세데.
So then it says, clearly appearing as Amityus, from the seed syllable of my heart, light rays emanate to the victorious ones of the 10 directions. Amityus and his retinue are invited and come to abide in the space in front.
다 나텔라 옴반자르 사마얀자 베마 아사나 디타 사담 나마사르와다타 가타 사바레 화레 벤다나 카로메스.
So we have then the mantra that he just read.
다디 총구여 서와다 아주 탐색 요래 스럽 탐색 제타한테 탐색 maybe I can say maybe one I don't know this 책들이 람나 this 거야 요 말와
그래.
이나 양 책들이 람나 되고다
Yini yang dampo tendati pena yang ngato de yang de gare soshing dawa chagire dampo.
오다티라와 연타테 람나리
Kain sinet sik yang la go garawa te mantra chipo mayamba.
티엔디 단 반자르 사만자 세나 당가서 탐색 침보레스.
So with this word, so
탐색
bajra chamaja,
mind laudo
bajra chamayaja is like bajra is vadra and samaya, so it's a vadra samaya,
mind 당가서 틀리요레스.
and it's like it's binding.
텔레테네다 nga촌다오지 있나 베나 초폰다오지 이미나 초포이나 지 쇼람나 용거로와다. 와가 총고 지 쇼라비나 마 로파치 라비나 가리나 사마야 요르와. 가르스나 초포인비 사마야. 데 요베리 데니다 nga초 사마야디 직라마 로와 코란소 사마야 가리지나 산지당 장조 선바다 담지 사마야디 고sem지한 통치기 있어야 돼. 코란소 사마야로와. 티인디다 사마야 요레 사마야 텔레테네다 용고그레스라고 다 티인디 베마 아사나 티타 사담다 티인디다 제당 사마야 텔레테네 담세키 다 베는 원이지다 대인사다 표로나 슈구요사레다 담세키 지랑아 용로 치스
So what we're so
젠덴고 디나 치도 젠덴고로 쇼라고레스
so this second.
베나 카드라들라 소는 뒤젠 남칼
So the second mantra here is following the invitation. So we're inviting the deity to in his retinue to appear in the space before us, and so this mantra is like kind of causing the deity, the Lama, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to remember their heart commitment, their samaya, if you will, to benefit beings, right? So it's like he said, if we're friends with someone, we have a commitment, we have a samaya to help them. So if our friend says, I need your help, please come, then we have to come. We have a commitment to that friend to come, to help them. And so in the same way, the lamas, the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas have this sacred commitment, the samaya, to benefit or to work for the benefit of sentient beings. And so this is like, recalling this power of the samaya and saying, please come here to abide before me in the space in front.
So I don't know yoga guys what you have in the Tibet that I don't know, not related to Dharma, but 맞아 샤포세 하지담 하요레스
Shapo?
샤포 다 토보지 지고라고 토보지
아하.
이나 토보 메릭스 지금 말봐 지금 말레스 they make friends 와
Uh-huh.
들이 제하지 믹스 제하지 요레스
Oh, they have, maybe it's like blood sisters or something. I don't know. He said there's this special way that you make when someone becomes your friend, like you make friends in Tibet.
다 텔레카리스나 단 죽만은 거 라고와
That's what chikpa chigere hansaya.
no 죽만은 거 간지 그래
The nga cha testingere kong cha testingere dine nga so cha tu gerewa.
you sure I don't think so
Yeah.
you do that
Well, like kids do it. like kids do it, yeah. Blood brothers.
All right, so the same, that's really strange, the same exactly. So then, this, not everyone, maybe just, I don't think this one person maybe two that kind of friends. I think maybe just only one, maybe, I don't know. But sometimes they have like travelers. So business, the men, so sometimes go very west, go there, so that area, or sometimes go east, very far away, maybe in China, so I don't know, maybe some person, maybe two. Anyway, so they put blood, and the blood kind of mix and like touch the like finger, whatever, like. So these Karchi girls, Samaya.
So that means Samaya. So what it means is like so it like basically means you would sacrifice your life for that person. Like it means if needed. It means like we are one. We are like your life is as important as my life. Like we're now like the same blood, so that that's the meaning of that.
So the same thing here, like this.
Well, we do it as kids, kind of. It's like sort of, right?
That's interesting. Where it come from?
Yeah.
I think he came from Hollywood too, and they I don't know if it's true.
Is it?
Probably these Hollywoods, these the kind of thing is they know very well, like all the religious traditions, So they bring each country's tradition, whatever important, those things. I don't know. The Tibetan that's kind of we call shop.
It's the word. There's a word for it. Yeah, shop.
So in Christianity, I don't know if it's here the same. This is my question because in Mexico and Catholicism, there's this tradition where when the child is baptized, there is a godfather, a godmother, and that's usually what you call them compadre or comadre, which are your best friends. But what it means is if the parents die, if they have an accident or something, then the godfather will take care of the child as if it was his own child. Do they have that here too?
Okay, so yeah. Okay, so that yung grace samaya ro, samaya tindi. That indi samaya ke inda ko leb grace, pep grace. Tindi ta pema asa na tita sadam labditini shu grace pemi den huronas. Te hurona ta chance choba pula gore. Stene namasarvada sangat avalo gedioma. Sambara bendana karome zidite ta tiikwa. 탐지 라틴이 찬세기스. 되네 찬세 비지는 초바푸도 알감바데 베트리스.
So then you have, so that's the Bajra Samadza is like, recalling or bringing up their Samaya. And then Pema Asana Tishta Satam. So you might recognize obviously Pema and Asana. So generally when there's invitation, these invitations happen, they happen in stages. So first you invite the deity, you request them to be seated, and then you make offerings, you pay homage and you make offerings. And so that's what's contained in this mantra. So we're summoning them through their samaya. We're asking them then to be seated, and then nama sarva. So nama is prostration, sarva is all. Tathagata are the thus gone ones or Buddhas. So then it's saying Saparivara means together with your retinue. Dine bandhanam.
Together all.
Bandhanam is like together. Nama chata. Okay. So I prostrate and I pay homage and prostrate and make offerings. And so then we have, after paying homage, we have the offering part is contained in what comes next, which is the offering mantras and mudras. Om Sarva Tathagata Saparivara Aragam, etc.
Pressing.
And then we have praise. What comes next is the praise.
You can read that.
So to all of those worthy of praise, with as many bodies as there are atoms in the realms, at all times I bow down and with supreme faith offer praise. And so then we have, the refuge and generating the mind of bodhicitta and so on. So I take refuge in the three jewels and reveal each and every wrongdoing and non-virtuous action. I rejoice in the virtues of beings and hold the awakening of Buddhahood in my mind. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until awakening. In order to perfectly accomplish the benefit of myself and others, I give rise to the mind of awakening. Having given rise to the mind of supreme awakening, I welcome all sentient beings. Practicing the beautiful and supreme conduct of awakening, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of sentient beings. And then we've invited the deity and the retinue to abide before us in space, right? We've made offerings, we've taken refuge, and then we say, the field of accumulation dissolves into me. So that field that we've invited into the space of the deity and the retinue then dissolve into us. So if we do this practice as it is typically done, which is in a retreat setting, then our day would be divided into 4 retreat periods or sessions. But this first part we just recite during the first session, in the first session.
The second section is the visualization. So if we were doing then the second, third, and fourth session, we would begin the second, third, and fourth session from this page 4. Which is the self-generation. So we're generating ourselves, we're starting by generating ourselves in the form of the deity, in the form of Amityus, which we were empowered to do through the process of empowerment. That's the initiation we receive, is to do this, to visualize ourselves as the deity, as Buddha Amityus. 티인이다 나초게 지 친지 가서거래 치승이 이렇게 유 나샘게 남토 다텐디 지 여러와 티요드 가르세나다 디 콜라차가 요 말에 라마차야 기타 가르세거래 업스트건라고데 나초데네 이뇽모 마트와 ina ko la ranches yorda tonto gumar ina da oma soba wa shoda sarvadar ma soba wa shoda ha la deteneji ta chi ke you can zimba inare non sem ke nam to inate san singe pa tomba chuni kangana te pe ton singe do ta teneji pe na ta tanda nam to khandi yo na ji ta katang ma hyur nga sa lana lem na tene go ta lana malem na lana leb je la na ta ti nyamlen chi oma so bo shoda sarvadar ma so bo shoda ha la be kal tene ti nga na ta koran ji be dangi ke ji number to pa tension khare yo we na yo tene ji ti ki ko point chi de ma yin ba be ji chuni koran ran ji be ta tomba ji nothing is tene ma ni ba be chuni namka da namke nga pa 텐딩도 오지 요바데 사모탄고 고래 다 텐디제게 토네 다 라카지나 지토고와 빼네 단계 휴가 나기리 나초틴 짐바에다 남간도 차기요 말와 얘네 메사리파 콘선도 이미나 두 준도 텐디지 요래 티준테네 코 남간나기리 코 남간나 코 가완도로와 빼는 게 맘발라리파 송도게 히다 코란이 테네 소바지아비오레 테네 코란이 다지 다치 센세니 제기도와 되네 게헤게 갈라고 세나 남간데 톡제리다 통메레 라비오로와 되네 지츠메레게 톡체레스 라요와 tene ku pachu be hansan go soya jene mejo ko ta namga tome ira wa namga be tomba yo mari slaurwa te tokchere de dorji ko malare ba namki jil dorji chonja de kharwa ta thodo go de kha go oda tenda woji la ta nga so di tindi ki ta nga so jang go wa te jang be ka la ta thambo oma so ba wa nga ta be khe chambores.
So this is the most important part, the Swabhava mantra, Om Swabhava Shuddha Sarva Dharma Swabhava Shuddhohang. So what happens with this is that our ordinary concepts and our grasping, our fixation to the reality of external phenomena is overturned. It's cleared away. It is purified into its original state, which is the space-like nature of all, true nature of all phenomena. And so all of the, our concepts regarding the truly existent phenomena and our inner experience of afflictive emotions and proliferating discursiveness or proliferating conceptual thoughts, all of this is dispersed with the recitation of this mantra, the Swabhava mantra. And so with that, we are beginning from like an empty, primordially pure basic space or empty essence from which the pure form of the deity can arise. But if we don't do that at first and we're just in our ordinary experience with all of our discursive thoughts and afflictive emotions, there's no space for the deity to actually arise. The deity can't arise because the deity is not of that nature. Or we can't see that, the arising of the deity. And so then with the Om Swabhava Shuddha Sarva Dharma, etc., so then all grasping is dispelled and we're beginning from this space of intrinsic purity. And then from, we're not bound by anything. And then so from within that empty space-like essence, then we can arise as the enlightened form of Buddha Amityus. So this space-like essence is completely free of grasping, completely free of fixation. So like you might be familiar with the story of Milarepa and the Geshe and their sort of debate. And Milarepa, the Geshe was sort of challenging Milarepa in debate and said, so what is space? Is space Tokche or Tokme? Is space? It's like basically is space impeded or is it unimpeded? And then Milarepa responded, it's impeded. And the Geshe was like, oh, what an idiot! Like oh, okay, how is space impeded? And then Milarepa crossed his legs and sat on space, sat like as if there was like a solid surface there. And then And so then he asked him, the Geshe asked him, so is the cliff face impeded or unimpeded? And the same thing, Milarepa said, it's unimpeded. And again, the Geshe thought, what a buffoon. Of course, it's not unimpeded. And then Milarepa showed him how it was unimpeded and walked through the wall. Or the cliff face, yeah. No, di chikbo. Marebe, di chikbo.
What that thing did here, that Tindiki same thing, Negi Yonala, Tindiki, Zimba maybe Tony Luna, that Nichi took your days. That Hananga physical, real physical simdina.
Yeah. So what this Swabhawa mantra is doing is it's really allowing for awareness to rest in that unelaborated nature, which is, this space-like, sky-like essence from which, where there's all this potentiality, but it's beyond like the physical realm, or our concept of ordinary existence being comprised of matter and so forth.
Okay. So maybe dedication.
Tene nga tso gare che gare te chido che go sarve yang na nga tso. So then what we'll do is, so since we don't have a lot of time, I just asked him, what are we going to do? Are we going to go through the whole thing? And he said, well, actually we can go through it just like a really abbreviated, kind of going through the different sections.
Or some questions, but we're not too
Let's not do too much. So we can practice. So we can go through, and he said he can talk some about the mantra, also the mantras, the meaning of the mantras, but it shouldn't take too long.
Before you can read, this is easy, so we can start later. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just read through. Then this is the generation, the self-generation, on page 4. From within the state of emptiness, all fixation to things as real, grasping based on concepts of self and others, is transformed into emptiness. So that's what has just happened with the mantra. From within that state, atop a multicolored lotus and moon seat, I and the Torma appear as a red Hri syllable with a long vowel and visarga. From it, light emanates, accomplishing the two objectives and returns, dissolving again into the Hri. Then, all at once, the Hri transforms into the enlightened form of Amityus, who is red in color, clearly appearing, yet devoid of inherent existence. Ornamented with the major and minor marks, he has one face and 2 arms. His hair of matted locks is crowned by a jeweled diadem, and he is beautified by various ornaments of precious gems, a long necklace, middle-length necklace, and short necklace, along with bracelets and anklets that sparkle with light. He wears an assortment of silken garments, such as a blouse and skirt. His 2 hands are in the gesture of meditative equipoise, hold aloft a vase decorated with ribbons filled to the brim with the longevity nectar of deathlessness. What's that? He sits with his legs folded in the Vajra position, and from the Om at his forehead, the Ah at his throat, and Hung at his heart level, light emanates and invites the wisdom beings who appear similar in aspect to the visualized deity. Ja Hung Bam Ho. Merging indivisibly, they become non-dual. Once again, from the seed syllable at the heart level, light radiates, inviting the empowerment deities of the 5 Buddha families.
Okay, so we can stop here.
And perhaps if we have, if anybody has, let's just limit the questions to the text. Like if you have specific questions about the text, questions are wonderful, but just so that we have time for practice and everything. Yeah.
Okay, so short dedication.
Page 24. By the virtues collected in the 3 times, by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue, may I and all beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious enlightenment. May the teachings of the great Dracunpa Ratna Shri, who is omniscient, Lord of the Dharma, Master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara.
Okay, thank you. So now it's 12:10, so maybe after 10.
So we'll come back at 10 after 2, Florida time.
Thank you.